Hey everybody, this is John Petrucci from Dream Theater. You're watching Heavy Consequence on Consequence of Sound.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. What's happening?
Well, what's happening is we got a new Dream Theater album, Distance Over Time. This one, you all lived together in the studio for 4 months in Monticello. What effect did that have overall on the album?
Oh, it was great. Actually, we were really only together as a full band for around a month or so. And our intent was to go away somewhere where we had no distractions. We can hang out, just enjoy the days, not have to go anywhere, drive anywhere, barbecue, drink bourbon, have some wine at night, wake up in the morning, make some eggs, and start all over again. But then we ended up actually staying there and recording the record. But the first month or so was the whole band there writing. I think what it did is it made like a really relaxed environment. It kind of got everybody like all on the same page, all totally invested into what we were doing, all a part of things, and just sort of rebonded us as, even though we spend so much time like on the road and everything, you'd be surprised at how little time you actually like hang out as friends. And so it was really great for that as well.
Cool. And, the last album, The Astonishing, was a double album,
right.
Pretty grand effort. And I don't think you can ever say anything's like streamlined with Dream Theater, given the complexities of the music.
Yeah.
But was there kind of an approach to go into this album and kind of streamline it a bit?
Yeah. We talked about it. Everything from the initial conversations about the album length. We didn't want to have another double CD. We just came off of a 2 hours plus record with The Astonishing. So we did talk about, let's try to keep this to an hour. Let's see if we can do it, But I love albums like where you can like have, workout sessions of the record, or like a train ride or a car ride or something like that. So within that format, as we were writing the songs, we were very conscious of making sure they didn't really go on too long because, with an hour playtime, we wanted to get a bunch of songs in there. So we didn't want to have 2 songs on the album. So, yeah, we were conscious of that for sure.
Cool. And let's get into some of those songs.
Sure.
The first song we all heard was Untethered Angel.
Right.
And it's also the lead-off track on the album.
Yeah.
And what about that song did you think what made it a good introduction to the album for fans?
Yeah. You know what? That was, if I remember correctly, that was the 4th song that we wrote. And as we were writing music, we were sort of sharing with our label head, Thomas Weber, who signed us to our brand new label, Inside Out, Sony Music. And when Thomas heard that, he was like, that's an album. Like, he just like kind of planted the seed. And I was like, yeah, well, let's see how the rest of the songs turn out. And all along, it just sort of was like the obvious contender for that would be a great, dramatic way to kind of pull people into the record. And ended up being the album's, the album opener and the first single as well. It has a lot of elements, I think, of what make up our sound. Dream Theater, I'm very comfortable with the Prog-Metal sort of label, if you had to label us, because to me that just sort of means like, we were influenced by like Yes and Metallica, and so that song has that where there's a lot of instrumental sections, there's heavy riffs, but at the same time it's very melodic, and there's some unconventional things that happen and some things that sort of showcase the playing as well. So it kind of has all the elements musically.
And Paralyzed is the first official single.
Right.
Untethered Angel was the first song we heard, but
sure.
As far as going to radio.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear more about that song.
Sure.
Musically and what, made it a good fit as a radio single as well.
Yeah. Again, you don't know how these songs are going to come out as you're doing them. And it's not necessarily like as we're writing, we're like, we got to write a single. Like, we try not to think that way because that's not the way we thought in the beginning. And I think the music always has to come from a place where it's really genuine. You can't force like direction. But it did, as soon as we wrote it, it kind of again sort of screamed, wow, this song is like, there's something about it. It has a really strong hook to it. The song's structure is more concise, etc. But what's cool about that song is it initiated from a riff that Mike Mangini brought in as a drummer.
Wow.
So you don't think of a guitar riff coming from a drummer, but he had amassed a whole bunch of ideas and stuff that he had programmed on his laptop with guitar sounds and stuff, and presented this idea. And I started playing it on guitar, kind of like morphed it a bit, made it a little more modal, just something that sounded more Dream Theater-y, whatever that is. And it turned out to be the main riff of the song. So that was a great example of what we talked about in the beginning, the full band inclusion, being up there, everybody feeling comfortable to participate and, share ideas.